Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video, and this news is pretty interesting. Now, of course, I will go ahead and say this right off the bat. This has not been confirmed by Hasbro yet, so anything that we read here today or go over, just take it with a grain of salt until we get actual confirmation from Hasbro. But let's go ahead and get into this here. This is, again, another article from the Illuminati. I'll link it in the description below for those of you that want to go ahead and check it out for yourselves. And then we'll, again, just kind of address things here point by point, and then I want to know your comments at the end there. So Power Rangers Dino Fury to include the original characters according to Hasbro licensing info. Now, again, let me preface by saying this has not been confirmed by Hasbro themselves, but some pretty interesting stuff at this point. Of course, just rumor. According to some licensing information for Hasbro's Festival of Licensing in October, it seems that Power Rangers Dino Fury could feature the original characters from the first season of the show. Now, I want to specifically address here, keep this in mind, could feature the original characters from the first season of the show. Now, the reason why I want you to look at that phrasing specifically is because it does not necessarily mean the original actors that portrayed those characters from that show, and I'll get into that more specifically later on here in this article, because it is something that they do kind of address themselves. Okay, so this is coming from licensingsource.net, and here is what was listed for Power Rangers Dino Fury. Season 28 of Power Rangers will also debut next year with Power Rangers Dino Fury, journeying back to the core roots of the brand, with the action being led by the original 5 Rangers. Okay. Then it says, so this is obviously crazy news for Power Rangers fans. It seems that Power Rangers Dino Fury could potentially be a reboot of the entire franchise as we know it. Interesting. What this means for Power Rangers, I'm going to be completely honest here. I have absolutely no idea what to think of this news. This could either be taken as Dino Fury team, as the Dino Fury team will be the MMPR team recast, or it could mean that the MMPR team will be mentoring the Dino Fury Rangers. However, that doesn't quite make sense, as Twee Train, who portrayed Trini, passed away back in 2001. Now, that's not to say that they couldn't potentially recast Trini. I would hope not. But just because they say it's the original team doesn't mean that they couldn't also put the character of Aisha as the Yellow Ranger, right? If they do decide to bring back the original cast. But we'll get into that in just a moment. Is it possible that Hasbro recasting the original actors to be in Dino Fury could have something to do with the new movie coming from Paramount, as the movie is supposed to have numerous connections to MMPR? That is, if they are indeed recasting the Rangers for Dino Fury. Now, that would be an interesting thing to do, right? One of two possibilities, right? That the actors from the movie could be the Dino Fury team, but I doubt that. Or maybe it would be a thing of they just kind of cross over there, right? Like it's a different dimension, like it's been with Dino Charge, right? Which takes place in a different dimension than the one that we're used to from Power Rangers, from, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Completely different dimension, so it doesn't take place in that same world specifically. And as we've seen, now that it has been acknowledged in recent years that there are different dimensions where some of these Power Rangers shows take place, this could be another one of those scenarios where this could just potentially be an entirely different dimension, where maybe the movie and this Dino Fury team exist in that same dimension, that same, I guess, that particular universe, right? If they're doing the whole multiverse / dimensions thing, maybe they both exist within that same one, and maybe that's how those things will kind of cross-pollinate there. But let's go on here. Is it possible that Hasbro recasting... okay, I just read that, sorry. What we do now, or what we do know, is that we should know more about this tomorrow, as the official Power Rangers Twitter has teased some sort of announcement. So maybe this will be clarified further in tomorrow's announcement on Power Rangers Day. Interesting. When an army of powerful... Okay, so this was the synopsis. We've been over that before in previous videos, but I'll go ahead and just go over it once again. When an army of powerful alien beings is unleashed on Earth, threatening life as we know it, a brand new team of Power Rangers, fueled by the prehistoric power of the dinosaurs, are recruited to deal with the threat. So then it's just, just asking what people think. But so this is interesting news, right? If they decide to use the original characters, but completely recast them with new actors, right? They do use the characters of Jason, Billy, Trini, Zach, but it's whole new actors. That's one way they could go, and that wouldn't be a bad thing. It'd be a nice little callback to everything. But I see that as working if they're going with this whole idea of the reboot, like this is possibly suggesting that Dino Fury is a reboot of the entire series, or if there's just a different dimension, different multiverse here where Jason, Trini, Zach, Kimberly, and Billy exist, but they exist in in a different way. Like they look differently, like we've seen happen with the DC Arrowverse, right, where certain characters look differently than their Earth 1 or 2 or whatever Earth they're from counterpart, as well as the idea that they're trying to do with the Marvel, multiverse, where obviously different people that have portrayed these characters in the past, they're the same character, but they look differently in these different multiverses. They could do something like that potentially here with Power Rangers if they want to, or they could just go ahead and bring back the actors and have them play a role of mentorship. That is a possibility, but at this point I'm not sure how well that would go over. I'm not sure if it's something that all of them would be interested in coming back, because you got to think, Amy Jo Johnson, would she want to come back, right, to do a mentor role in this series? Would David Yost, of course, as we know before, and granted that was when Saban Brand still had the franchises. There was some hard feelings there. It might be different with Hasbro. They might be able to convince him to come back potentially as Billy once again. Of course, the one biggest glaring thing, yes, Tweet Train has passed on, rest in peace, but they could bring the character of Aisha. They could bring back Karen Ashley as Aisha to potentially fill that role as the Yellow Ranger. Of course, it'd be a little bit off. Wouldn't feel the same having Aisha there instead of instead of Trini, having the character of Aisha there. But at the same time, they could potentially do that. Obviously, I don't know what Walter Jones' relationship is with Hasbro, if any, or if he's even interested in coming back. I think he would probably be down for it, but I think the biggest ones would probably, the ones that I think would be up in the air would be Amy Jo Johnson and David Yost. I think would be the ones that would be up in the air if they went that route of deciding to bring back the original actors to play some kind of mentorship, right? And if they want to do it, or if they're just so far beyond it now that they're just like, I'm good. Because we know Jason David Frank, of course, would take the opportunity to come back. Austin came back in the last season, which is Beast Morphers, and from what I understand from people close, he seems to have a pretty good relationship with Hasbro. So I believe, Austin is a strong possibility if they decide to go that route of bringing back the original actors. And obviously Jason David Frank, I think those guys are pretty much shoo-ins if they decide to bring it back. I think that they'd be able to put whatever supposed or alleged differences that they've had in the past aside just to put this show together. But who knows? I think, like I said, the hard ones would probably be David Yost and Amy Jo Johnson, although again, it's under Hasbro ownership now, and David Yost seemingly had the most problems when it was under Saban. So I think there's still kind of a possibility there, and I know that David Yost has talked about publicly being open to the idea. So maybe we could see it back, or maybe, like I said, maybe they go the route of just recasting the roles completely with new actors, and in that universe they're much younger. they're much younger versions of themselves, and it's just that's how they exist in that particular dimension or universe. So, but until, like I said, we get more word from Hasbro here, this is all speculation at this point. It's interesting if this is true. Again, we don't know if even this is something that's going to happen, if the original MMPR Rangers are going to be part of this story or season. Be interesting to find out if that does indeed turn out to be true. But what do you all think of this news? What would you all like to see? Would you all like to see a new version of the MMPR cast, a completely new set of people playing those roles, or would you prefer seeing some of the original actors come back and do kind of a bit of a passing of the torch? If it's supposed to be a reboot, it would make sense to just go ahead and recast those roles with fresh new actors. But who knows? Who knows what they would want to do here? I guess we'll find out here pretty soon. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, you know how it goes. The hunt continues. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a like, share, and comment below.